Okay, here's a very simple but effective strategy for improving thoracic rotation using a bench, a foam roller, and a wall. One of the key features we have to understand when it comes to spinal movement is that the spinal column moves as an entire unit. We can't simply isolate one segment of the spine. When I rotate my trunk to the left, my lumbar spine is rotating, my thoracic spine is rotating, and my cervical spine is following. So if we want to try to dissociate different spinal segments, then we need to move the bones that connect to the spinal column in the opposing directions. So if I want to improve thoracic rotation to the left, I'm going to need to move my pelvis to the right, and then I'm going to need to move my scapula in more of a protraction. So the scapula connects to the rib cage. And if I want to rotate to the left here, and I run out of room at the rib cage, I'm going to try to retract my scapula or pull my shoulder blade back to fake that thoracic rotation. So in order to dissociate this movement, I'm going to protract the scapula, bring my scapula around the rib cage, and that is a way to move the scapula and the rib cage in opposing directions. I'm going to have a foam roller in between the knees. I'm going to take my opposite hand, put it on the outside of the thigh that's closest to the wall, and then I'm going to use this hand, the opposite hand, to push me into more rotation of the spine. Now in this hand, I don't want to stay retracted at the scapula. I want to stay protracted here. So I want to slightly push my rib cage back. Ideally, I want the hand in line with the elbow, and I'm going to be pushing into that protraction. Now to get the pelvis moving in the opposing direction, I'm going to pull this outside knee back and shift this inner knee forward, okay? So this rotates my pelvis in the opposing direction. So now I can do some contract relax cycles where I push this hand into the thigh as if I'm trying to rotate the opposing direction. Inhale. As I exhale, I can do a few things to move deeper. I could think about dragging this knee back into the roller even more, and you'll feel a much greater stretch through the thoracic rotation. I could try to push myself into more rotation, or I could just simply protract more and retract the rib cage. And all three of these variations will allow me to move deeper through rotation, and you could feel it. So again, as I contract and relax, I could try to pull this knee back even further. This moves my pelvis in the opposing direction, which is a relative left thoracic rotation. I could protract the scapula more, which relatively rotates the thoracic spine to that same direction as well. Or I could just simply rotate myself into more thoracic rotation by pushing myself. So give this a try. It's an extremely effective drill, very simple. Do this between sets of bench press or overhead press or whatever drill you're needing a bench for, and see how your rib cage moves afterwards.